Words, I believe they matter. They are tiny units of power. In his book, Dr. Andrew Newberg, who is a neuroscientist, and the book is called Words Can Change Your Brain, and he claims that a single word has the power to influence the expression of genes that regulate physical and emotional stress. That sounds pretty powerful to me. So, what is a word to you? How would you define a word? Anyone?
Piece of information.
A sound with a meaning to you?
Nice. I love how different both of your versions are. They're both very close to the truth. So the definition is series of speech sounds that symbolizes and communicates meaning. And if you are a developer or a designer, someone who works with structures, what you could think of is that singular atom that couldn't be further broken into pieces. It's your single unit of meaning. Look at some of them. Mellifluous, a sound that is sweet and smooth, pleasing to hear. Almost the shape of the word suggests the meaning of the word. Or this beautiful word I found called hyrith, a Welsh word, a homesickness for a home you can't return to or that never was. It's poetic. It's kind of giving us a different meaning to it. Words are living things. They are discarded, such words as to gorgonize. So this is to freeze someone with your eyesight, like Medusa at some point. Quarker Wodger is a wooden doll on strings, or a floppy disk that, if someone would have told me like 30 years ago, I'll need to explain it, I would have not believed it, but it's where the information used to be stored. Words are also born, so to upcycle, to give something another life, snackable content. This is what I'm doing now with you. Or beer o'clock. This is hopefully what's going to happen in, 5 hours time when we're done for the day. Words also morph through history. So such words as acute or cute, that we know by a completely different meaning at the moment, but it used to mean sharp or quick-witted and was even written with an apostrophe in place of the missing A, so it used to be cute. Words can also capture cultural essence. So there is a word, Tosca, Russian word. As Nabokov claimed, it's the deepest and the most painful, the sensation of a great spiritual anguish, often without any specific cause, very culturally relevant to our culture. Or words can nuance feelings. So Italian ti voglio bene, which is very interesting expression. It's not quite love, it is love in some other cases. This is I wish you well. You would say it to your elderly relative or a friend, but the next time you see TVB, graffiti, somewhere in the Italian cities, which you will see, this is what teenagers put all over the walls. So you will know what that means. It's a code for ti voglio bene. Words can also condition, like the design can condition. Words like chairman. Words can discriminate. So, dreaded question, in some financial institutions you still get asked that, Miss or Mrs. Whilst it's Mr. on the other kind of side of that divide. Words can also signal and discriminate. So this is my surname, and this is the way it would be if in Lithuania, if I wouldn't be married. So Melnikovaitė or Melnikovite, the endings signify I am unmarried and available. And Melnikoviene signifies I'm married to someone whose surname is Melnikov. So it's kind of immediately signaling who I am in that frame. Words can also perpetuate the injustice, because look at this. So this is one of the gender agnostic languages, Hungarian. And then it translates like this, and it still does. And I was checking this as I was writing the presentation, and it didn't change. So if you put those words that are gender agnostic, it will translate like this. She's beautiful, he's clever, he reads, she washes the dishes, he builds, she sews, he teaches, she cooks, she is raising a child, he plays music, she's a cleaner. You get the point. However, a Google spokesperson said, translate works by learning patterns from many millions of examples of translations that it sees on the web. Therefore, until we write new patterns, Google will not pick up on it. Words matter. They're important. Our words undoubtedly signify our culture. And we are responsible for shaping that culture to a large degree. And I felt that there is one word that has been recently really bothering me, pronounced in a lot of context. And that word is expert. And I do believe we need to talk about it. So why not call ourselves experts? Expert in the dictionary is a person who is very knowledgeable about or skillful in a particular area. By the way, this is the first image that comes up on Unsplash when typing business meeting. And as Ilaria pointed out, we've got some work to do here. Well, has any of you been in those meetings where you're trying to ask client a question around, values should your site reflect? Where are you trying to go? And at some point, situation gets a bit defensive, and the client says, "Well, you're the expert here. You tell us what to do." What do they really mean? Because you're an expert, you're getting played. So that may mean things like, let's cut down on testing and research. That happened to me a lot of the time. So it just means cost cutting. Because you're an expert, you're supposed to know what your users are going to want or need. Or it could mean, give us a silver bullet that we've never had as a business. We're struggling from a certain problem, but we're not going to tell you what it is. So it's a bit of a blame shifting exercise happening, and here you have to spot. Or you may just be, as an expert, under pressure in the room to kind of feel big or feel authoritative. And that means that someone refuses you a situational humility, which is a very important concept in order to experiment, in order to grow, in order to, be successful. So what all of these things may mean and where they may lead to is failing. So it's not the beautiful kind of course you're going to learn from it, but it's not the greatest place to be. And I've been recently thinking about it. Well, what word could we use instead? What could be better than calling ourselves experts? Bear with me. The word could be amateur. What comes with it? Amateur. Definition of the word is a person who engages in pursuit, especially a sport or anything else, on an unpaid rather than professional basis. But actually, if we look at the root of the word amateur, and this is where I highly recommend this series. This is about musicians, and this is one musician talking to the other. Very highly skilled musicians playing in a symphonic orchestra. And one says, "I'm just an amateur." And the other says, "Why do you say an amateur is a dirty word? It comes from the Latin word amare, which means love, to do things for the love of it, to play with blood, as he says, to play with passion, to desire to make things better." So why could this word work for us? Here's my word pitch. Hear it out. I am willing, and I would love to rebrand expert professionals into explorative amateurs. Why is that? And how could that work? Well, firstly, it's in line with the nature of our work. As designers, we constantly learn about people. This quote here is about anthropology, but it really stands. It demands the open-mindedness with which one must look at and listen, record in astonishment and wonder anything that they wouldn't have been able to guess. We shouldn't be able to guess the outcome of our work. We should stay open. Therefore, we can't really claim the expertise on it. Second, it helps us to stay sharp. Now, I've taken this literally from the most recent top trending technologies in 2021. How many of you could claim you are an expert in one or more of the things listed in this list? We shouldn't really assume that knowledge is a finite bucket. A finite bucket that was a definition of that word expert. Thirdly, it leads to growth. So if we don't assume we knowledge, that we just seek for it, and again, we acknowledge what we don't know, and we build that situational humility, which is one of the two less commonly addressed skills in leadership trainings all around the world, but it's been sang praises by a lot of companies for the past 2 years because it creates an environment where teams can grow and learn and prosper. So situational humility is very important. New words can appear, Other ones can be resurrected. We are an absolutely active part of that process. And I feel our jargon, our language, our words matter. So we could be explorative amateurs and try it out for ourselves. What's matter?